As I said earlier when we met the first time, my name's Amanda Snyder, and I work at a special needs preschool in Troy. And I'm married, and I'm currently pregnant with our first little one. So when I was watching your video, I noticed that you guys did lots of hand-on activities, which I thought was awesome. Especially when you had them use all those Scrabble pieces. I was like, that is such a good idea. I've never even thought to do that before. So what were some of your strengths that you noticed while you were teaching the lesson?
It was tricky. That was the first time that I've ever taught those kids. But I'm like, oh gosh, because we did like a month's worth of testing because the district, I came in, they didn't really have a lot of like good data. They do a system called STAR, but none of the teachers like it. So we spent a whole month doing all this data on all these kids. So it was my first day and I was like, oh gosh. But I thought what really went well was just like like you said, the hands-on manipulatives. Something that's lacking in there is the second grade is what they were. They don't have the foundation. That's part of the foundations I was telling you about. They don't do like a phonics curriculum, which just kind of blows my mind. They should still be having phonics. So the kids, it was neat to see the kids really like interested that they could actually move the letters, and I felt like it gave them a purpose, why they're not just listening to me, but they're also manipulating it themselves. So I thought that was awesome. And
So have they ever had any phonics before, like in kindergarten or first grade?
K-1 does the foundations, which is what that program is. But then second grade, I don't understand. I'm still trying to figure out why. They just don't use it. They don't like it, but then they don't really have a phonics piece. So I'm like, okay, this is where we're having an issue. So, but yeah, I don't get that why.
Do you think that there's going to be more kids then that have those phonics issues in like second grade, even though they had it in first grade, but do you think it'll carry over, or?
What they had, like, it's weird, like the kindergarten, I feel like each year they're getting, there's more kids that need extra help. And, I just feel like then they go to third grade and they're seeing a lot of struggle, where I'm like, well, if we had that phonics piece still in second grade, a lot of the teachers in second grade think the phonics piece is too boring for the kids, but I'm like, no, it's not. Like, if they need that repetition and things like that. So that's one area we're working on this year, is hopefully get that phonics piece back.
Gotcha. What was your goal for the lesson?
My goal for the lesson was, that was more of my higher level Title I group, so really focusing on comprehension for those kiddos, like genre, working on like setting and characters, our big focus we've been working on, and also throwing in, I have a couple kids in that group that aren't my lower functioning in regards to phonics, but there's a couple that need reminders of like when to do a long and short vowel, what kind of digraphs and blends that we use. So my goal is also to throw that type of knowledge into them, review. So a lot of short and long vowels and digraphs is our big focus. But in that group also intertwining that comprehension piece as well.
Gotcha. What do you think went well?
I think their attention was really well. The camera, they were all like, oh, the camera's on. But I thought, just like we said, like the manipulation of the pieces, looking at the smartboard I had, you probably couldn't see the smartboard, but I had 3 pictures of titles that were all of different genre, and they had to tell me, like, you know, which one was nonfiction, and giving them examples. And just using a lot of, like, I like to do whole brain teaching, so, I mean, I'm still obviously introducing it to them that day, but just getting them to, like, you know, echo me and, like, use their different, you know, body and voice to repeat and do a lot of the talking, not just myself.
I also like how you pulled just different books out, like actual books out for them to see, so it wasn't all just pictures on the smartboard. They also could see the actual book when they would tell you the genre too, because that probably helps them to see like the difference between the smartboard and then just the actual book. And then let's see here. Well, how are the students active? I know that they use the Scrabble pieces, but what other different hands-on things did they do?
Let's see. That was probably more of like my weakness, like since that was my first time with them. So for like today for a lesson, I have like these big letter cards, and so they become the teacher, so I'm not always the one leading it, like, you know, SH, ship, shh. I had someone come up there today, and they're actually, like, saying it, and we echo back to them. So in that lesson, that's probably, like, my weakness just starting out, because I'm trying to get familiar with the kiddos. So I would like to even try to think of ways, like, helpful ways that I could make it more interactive and not just say, hey, it's because it's my first day with them, but kind of get them more, you know, caught into wanting to come and be more participant. So I thought that's probably an area that I'd like to improve on, even on the first day. How can I get them more involved instead of trying to just listening to me?
Yeah, I'm sure that they love being the teacher and getting up with everybody and doing that.
They were so excited today. The one girl's like, oh man, I'm like, I promise I will pick more tomorrow.
That's funny. Did you see a need for differentiation at all throughout the lesson?
That group I did, because that's more my higher functioning title kids, if I say. I have one kid in there that really needs pushing on, like, short and long vowels, where my other kiddos are, you know, kind of grasp that concept very well. So I try to, like, give him a few examples, you know, whole class examples for them all to do, but then also stretch it for the other kids who need that extra push, where they don't need to focus on long and short vowels, but maybe on blends, or why we put a CK at the end of a word. Which is funny, I met with his teacher today, and we're going to actually switch him out and put him into my second grade lower level functioning, which needs more phonics base, is what's kind of what he needs, because that group is supposed to be more of a comprehension class. So we're going to actually move him down to my phonics group, because I throw phonics at him to try to differentiate, but the other kids don't need it, and then I feel like he's not getting enough, and then I'm wasting time on the other kids going over so much phonics. So it's like, we're trying to, like, meet that middle for him.
Gotcha. How many different, like, levels of, or groups, I guess, do you teach?
I teach from 9 to 12, and then there's a full-time title teacher. So I do 2 kindergarten classrooms. They get me for an hour, which is nice. So we actually the district's trying to do more of an inclusion method this year. So I pull out the first half hour for one of the kindergarten classes, and then I come back in the last half hour, and we do, like, guided reading centers. And then I do this, then I go into another room and do that. And then second grade gets me for an hour, so I take a half hour, I do pull out, and that's where we do the phonics, and then I take another group and we do comprehension. And then the other teacher, full-time teacher, does the other 2Ks, and then she takes the lowest of the functioning of second grade, so there's a group lower than what I have, and they do strictly phonics. And then she does all first grade, which is a lot for her to do in the afternoon. So that's our struggle there, too, is first grade's really not getting what they need because, I mean, funding and... Yeah.
All that good stuff.
Yep.
Well, that's good. That's cool, though. I like how you split it up and you don't only do one level the whole time and you're not just with one class throughout the whole day.
Yeah, it was neat.
Nice break for you, too.
Yes. Even though, like, we're like, oh, gosh, it took a whole month to do the data, but it gave us, like, we could really see, okay, this is our comprehension kids. These kids need to work on phonics, so it worked out nice. But we're trying to figure out, if you have any suggestions, we're trying to figure out how we could do it in less time. But, I mean, it took a solid month just to get all that data.
Oh, well, and it probably doesn't help that there wasn't very much from last year, too. So hopefully next year you guys won't have to do as much, since hopefully you can use a lot of that spring data that you take, too.
That's a good idea. Yeah, definitely.
Let's see. So I noticed that the students were very active and engaged when you were using those Scrabble pieces. Do they really like doing like the cards and stuff too that you do throughout the day?
They do. They like doing the cards. They like I do a lot of just chants. I like to do like a lot of songs. I think that's just because how I learned best was with songs and chants. So we do a lot of like what is a setting chant. I have a little boy who likes to rap. So I'm like, if you can take the lyrics that I give you and turn them into a rap, and he likes that. So I always, even with kindergarten, I do a lot of like song movement and chants, and I think that kind of gets their attention too. And it's something different. Like, our second grade teachers are more old school, is what I see and what I've been told. So, especially with the second graders, you think, oh, they're coming in, they're going to think this is kind of, like, childish. But you see their, like, kidness come out I have a tent. This is off topic. I have a tent in my classroom for reading, and you would think the kindergartners would want to flock to it more, but second grade goes, today after class, when we do a good job, can we like go sit in the tent for a minute? I just wanted to laugh so hard, but I'm like, that's good, but you don't think they're wanting to be in a tent.
Yeah, that's cute. Oh. So that also gets them up and active too if you're doing all those different chants, and I'm sure you have movements to a lot of it too.
Yep.
Yeah. I remember my student teaching, I was in third grade and we did that same thing with multiplication facts. I could not believe how many students remember their multiplication just because of those chants and different songs.
Oh, that's awesome. I've never heard those.
So that's awesome that you do that in your class. Let's see. Do you think there's any additional supports that you need for your students in those classes? I know you said you're moving that one student to the other class, but is there anything you could help with those higher level kids?
I think having more of I don't know how you guys do your plans, but I guess with my schedule, since I'm only there 3 hours, I need more of a time where I can communicate with the homeroom teachers. Because I try, I have kind of a, curriculum map of what they're doing, but then, I don't get to hear, well, how did the kids do on their comprehension tests, that we've gone over throughout the week, or how did they do on their phonics test? I don't get that piece. So I guess that's my biggest struggle is how can I, get to those teachers and actually have, a common plan where we can sit down and talk about, hey, how did so-and-so do, or what are you seeing, so we can kind of work more together. I feel like we're on our own little island in a way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, is there any time, not even once a week or twice a week, or every other week that you can meet with those homeroom teachers? I know you're on a crunch of time too.
Crunch of time, but I do, we've had so many data meetings, which is good, that I usually get there about 7:30 because I have a data meeting, and if I don't, then I can't meet with anybody. So I'm hoping once these meetings are done, then I can start getting there again at 7:30 to talk with the teachers, or you think if I send them out an email or something and set up a calendar, maybe you think that we could meet on certain days.
Yeah, and I think that would be a lot easier too if you had one set day each week, or once every other week that you always met on that day. That probably would help too, just to keep that the same day thing going, because a lot of people are in that routine of, I need to be there at this time on that day, and it might help them remember.
That's a good idea. I'll do that for sure.
So is there anything that you need from me or that I could help you with?
I loved your idea about setting kind of a calendar, getting with them, because that's my biggest thing is how do I work with them more instead of kind of doing our own separate, areas and see how they're growing. So that's definitely a good resource. Thank you. And if you just have any, because I know you do preschool, so if you have any other ways that you think to get the kids moving, or anything like that would be wonderful.
Okay, I can look into that. I know we do lots of different songs. I know there's one. This is just something silly that we like to do, but it's called the Storybots. Oh. And for each letter of the alphabet, they have a little video. It's super short. It's 1 minute long, and it's just different words that start with that letter. So if it's A, it might be there's ants are marching by, and then they'll these robots will pop up and talk and do all different kinds of things.
That's awesome.
That's one thing that my kids love to watch. They just think that it's funny. So your kids would actually be able to read all the words though. So
yeah, is that through YouTube or?
Yeah, I just look it up on YouTube.
Oh, okay. I like that.
Yep.
Storybots. I'll have to remember that. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So I think that's it.